Resident Evil had already created a space for itself as a hit series and only strengthened that point after RE2, and the next entry would come not too long after. Despite its praise, there are some rocky areas of this mountain. I'm Saggi, and I'll be going over the worst parts of RE3. This game makes a plethora of differences in the formula of the survival horror icon, and the entire structuring was no exception. Instead of two characters, this game opted for a single playable campaign, which was a first for the series and would continue this until RE6. This of course would mean a change in the length would be made to accommodate. When you beat RE1 or 2, the characters actually get different characteristics like obtaining exclusive weaponry or having easier navigation. Here though, everything is packed into a single campaign, so there's no differentiating factor for the player character in any run, only the run itself. In RE2, the campaigns are similar, but there are some quite noticeable changes between the two, like how you can play as Leon and never face Mr. X, or how you can beat Leon to the RPD and find Chris's note as Jill. RE3's campaign will have you play through the same predetermined scenarios, which can be slightly altered. More on that later. Top that off with the fact that you're almost bulldozing your way through hordes in this game makes everything feel accelerated. Not necessarily rushed, but definitely a faster feel, which I suppose was the objective, but it disrupts the slow pacing of the game. Without the second campaign, a single playthrough could be enough to satiate your desire to replay, as there's plenty of neat alterations to be made, but nothing crucial or imperative. RE2 gave a glimpse into where the series would take its gameplay, and in this game, it's at the pinnacle for this trilogy. The previous title included more rooms filled with threats, but this game adds family gatherings behind every other door. You still rummage and search through various obtuse areas and structures, but you're less suspenseful of what could be lurking in the next room, but more concerned with how much ammo you're about to dump, because you will for sure be shooting at some point. Don't get me wrong, this is fun as hell, especially when knocking down legions at a time, but it starts to stir the question, is this a Resident Evil game? This game was meant to be a different title in RE altogether before its shift into 3, but it was still a Resident Evil game title, unlike DMC and RE4. The game goes and doesn't stop until around the clock tower, where it starts to feel more traditional, but revs up yet again the moment that area has concluded. It's like if you took the chaotic and pressuring nature of RE2's prologue and made an entire game at that pace. You'll be finding more ammo than you'll be finding key items. The problem you'll have with this game's inventory is figuring out which guns you want to take into the mayhem, and less about how to strategically prepare your bag with enough firepower and healing as well as key items. More actions added to the thrill of the game, but subtracts from the genre that is trying to sell itself as. I mentioned earlier that changes could be made during Jill's last escape that could alter your playthroughs. This is the live selection system, but most of you probably attach this sort of choice making to a Telltale game's formula. Since there's only a campaign with Jill, the live selection was added to give the game more replayability that would otherwise be absent. These choices are interesting to see play out and do create an intrigue as to what would have happened if you picked the other option, but when you complete the game, you'll realize that they'll all lead to the same general point, the illusion of choice. Most, if not all, of these choices have zero impact on the narrative and are here to give you some form of agency, but much of the time it doesn't feel like it's truly worth it. The first and greatest example is the first encounter with Nemi. Nemesis kills Brad, and you're given the choice to knock down Nemi or run into the RPD. If you kill Nemesis, he gives you a drop, and you're even able to take Brad's card, which can help accelerate your RPD stay. But those are the only changes. It's not like the choice changes whether Brad dies, or if killing Nemesis allows you to bypass the RPD altogether. Just some cool rewards, which isn't bad, but doesn't feel like a crazy selling point to rely on replayability. There's even an alternate way of executing it, which they do in this game. When playing as Carlos, you'll get a vaccine for a sick Jill, but right before you meet up with her, Nemesis pops up to stop you. This is a moment really similar to the first live selection, except there's no prompt. You can stay and take Nemi down, or hurry on to Jill. No scream pause necessary. Without the live selection, I'm less inclined to feel as though my choice of running away from Nemesis to Jill will have some sort of profound impact on the story. The live selection is a neat idea that even blossomed into its own genre of games, but creating a sense of control by including negligible options is a downer. This is the last of the trilogy, and it does indeed still use tank controls, but that's not the issue here. There's more of a problem with the additions made around them. My biggest problem with the first two games was the mobility, and adding a quick turn in this game makes so much of a difference, especially in nail-biting situations. But that was the best addition. Along with the aiming button, additional forms were introduced which sound like quality of life changes. There's the ability to change targets, and the ability to aim at interactables, which aren't terrible add-ons in themselves, but the world around you will make these buttons battle against you. For example, the interactive aim is to be used for various explosives and such scattered across the game, but it also doubles as an aiming button naturally. You'll often find yourself trying to shoot a barrel to blow up, but the button literally designed for that purpose will just aim at a zombie instead. Then you have the dodge. Oh, the dodge. This is a great idea on paper that adds to the fast-paced idea injected into this game, but it's just flat out bad, unlike the other things. First of all, it's not clear exactly when you activate the dodge, which is abhorrently apparent against the most common adversary in the game, zombies. On top of that, you can't control what Jill does for the dodge. She'll push zombies most of the time, but with many other encounters, she can do a collection of evasive maneuvers, my favorite being the kneeling position she rolls into to fire more quickly. Too bad I can't control whether or not that's the dodge she commits to, and to put the shit icing on the piss cake, the dodge can be interrupted. Yeah, that's right, there's no invincibility frames on this shit. And some of the bitch ass enemies still get some iframes after recoiling from damage? If the tank controls prevented you from escaping sticky situations in the previous entries, then the auto aim and emergency escape will help you get into some in this one. But what do you think? Maybe you wish that Carlos had a separate campaign to show his journey. Maybe you wish that Nemi didn't telegraph his appearance right before he ambushes you. Let me know below. Like and subscribe. I'm Saggi, and I'm also out.